Hi, I'm Lisa with Unlimited Book Reviews, and today's review is for Blessings of the Firebird's Light. There's the cover there. It's by Rose S. King, The Firebird's Blessings Saga Book 1. So if you're looking up what genre this is in, if you look on Amazon.com right now, it's ranked at 260 under religious and 560 under fantasy. And then on Amazon.ca, it's at 166 under fantasy. So after reading this book and kind of looking at the different categories, I think the best description is it's a teen and young adult book of religious fantasy, because it definitely falls under that genre too. It is a series, although this is the only book out right now, this book 1. And it's 341 pages long. So the main characters in our book, we have our heroine, Audrey Duvessa, and our hero, who's Roai Sherwood. I believe I'm pronouncing that Roai. And the point of view of this book, it's actually written in first person, and it switches back and forth between those two. And it's very clear. It's usually changed by chapter. The book description. Audrey Duvessa knows something about dark forces. She has been given the moniker Dark Beauty for her role in her mother's coven of sorcerers. Audrey is destined to take over and continue her mother's work, but a surprising ally opens her eyes to the possibility of redemption. When Audrey's mother tasks her to find a Firebird, she meets Roai Sherwood, a hunter who follows the word of God. Roai hunts dark creatures and sorcerers like Audrey and her family, but something about the young woman fascinates him. These two very different people find their paths aligning time and again during Audrey's quest for the Firebird, and Roai's faith is tested by several calamities. He ends up partnering with Audrey for his own reasons, and the two discover a conspiracy that could destroy both their homes. Audrey has a reason to hate hunters, but she's surprised by Roai's gentle faith and devotion. Even in the midst of destruction and disaster, Roai must decide whether this imperious young witch is ready for redemption, or whether her lack of faith will lead her ever further away from the path towards God. So if I was going to kind of sum up the plot and character development that I saw happen, because it's kind of a joint one, it's a little bit different, but when two young, seemingly totally opposite people are approached by a representative of God to join forces and set off on a quest, they start to learn that much of what they believed about each other is not true. They come to a mutual respect for each other and in the process learn to care for each other, but their love and relationship is forbidden. So that's kind of how it sums up. The storyline in this one, it was definitely original, and there was a little bit of suspense. There was a little bit of humor, lots of drama and conflict, definitely some mystery, lots we don't know or understand, and there is action in the book. So the fantasy quest that they end up going on together, they, I believe, had heard of each other, although maybe not necessarily met before the book started. So it's like they know each other because they know of each other right at the very beginning. But their quest that they end up having to go on and where they get pushed together starts around 30% into the book. And then the relationship between them takes a turn around 81% into the book. And they kind of save the day around 85% into the book. There are deaths in the book, but there's no real weird darkness or gore or anything that would turn you off from reading the book. And the romance is there, but it's very little and it's very innocent. Closure. Kind of. It's open to sequels. There's tons of unanswered questions. There's lots that you don't understand. That's probably my biggest what I didn't really like. I guess what I really did like was the fact that these seemingly totally opposite belief system people come together and find out that they actually have quite a bit in common. And looking at it from a non-religious standpoint, someone that isn't religious like me, it's nice to see that. It's like the coming together of, wherever there's clashing in the world, whether it's race or religion or anything like that. That was kind of nice to see that come together. And it was, they had the same kind of bigoted elders that held on to the old religions and wanted to keep them apart from ever developing into something further. So that was kind of the neat part about it. But there was a lot as far as the quests and questions and even people that were introduced that I'm sure is going to carry on in future books that you just don't understand, and of course that's frustrating. So this book was written by Rose S. King, and it was very easy to read, written in the first person. There were a few typos, inconsistencies, nothing that slapped you in the face or made you think I'm not going to read any more of the book. You're definitely left hanging at the end of the book, and right now this author has one book out on Kindle Unlimited and one book on Amazon. So all her books are on Kindle Unlimited. Yep, I would definitely call it a good book. Quotes highlighted by the readers. There weren't any, these are mine. I'm about to paint you out of the story. I had no idea what that meant, but the alarm bells going off in my head told me that wasn't a good thing. So that's Audrey. Love is the only weapon powerful enough to vanquish evil like you. That's Roai. The celestial bells are capable of torrential destruction as well as monumental beauty. Someday they will need to be found, or all will be lost. So that kind of sums up like the craziness of the fantasy part of it. Like you're like, what is going on? So it's quite an epic journey. The reviews, right now there's 2 reviews on Amazon.com. It has a 3 out of 5 rating. Marlene says, really enjoy the book. Looking forward to reading the next book. Did take a little to really get into the story, but once it got going, it kept my attention. I'm curious, do Audrey and Roai get together in the future? How will the Phoenix play into future stories? What will be the ultimate downfall of Apollo? Lots of questions, and I totally agree with that. Amazon customer's title says, emotionally uninvolved in characters, and the body says, great imaginary world. I believe the writer do understand well, even though there were definite goal or none that made sense. The first half dragged and I struggled to stay in the story. The second half reads better when Audrey and Roai traveled together. The romance could be better with suspense. I struggled to get emotionally involved with characters due to lack of urgency, plot, emotion. I also found Audrey snapped way too much instead of just a normal said. In the end, I still didn't understand the quest for the feathers. What did she gain? What changed? I wish Rose all the best as a writer, and I do understand how much work it takes to get this far. So that's what Amazon customer said. So I definitely want to hear your opinion too. Leave a comment below. Definitely like my video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thanks so much for stopping by.